Something, sweetheart. It's been 5 days since your boyfriend ran out.
Sam.
Just leave him!
John! Help us!
Deep within a devastated United Kingdom, where civilization crumbles under the yoke of an infernal plague, the rage virus has reduced humanity to a mere echo of its past. Weeks, perhaps months, have passed since the air was filled with screams and the metallic stench of blood. The once bustling streets are now cemeteries of twisted bodies and crumbling buildings, while the infected, monsters with bloodshot eyes and throbbing veins, lurk in every shadow, driven by an insatiable fury. In a countryside house, a precarious refuge against the chaos, a group of survivors clings to the fragile hope of survival. Don, his face hardened by fear and loss, watches over his wife Alice, whose eyes reflect a terror she cannot name. Beside them, Karen, consumed by the wait for her boyfriend Sam, and Jacob, a young man with a wary gaze, share the oppressive silence with Sally and Jeff, the elderly owners of the house, whose frail bodies seem ready to break under the weight of despair. The wooden walls creak under the wind, as if the house itself groans in anticipation of the menace lurking in the darkness. Night falls like a shroud, and the group gathers around a table illuminated by flickering candles. Every creak, every whisper from outside, cuts their breath short. Suddenly, a weak but insistent knock echoes at the door. It is a boy, his face dirty with soil and tears, trembling with panic. His eyes plead for refuge, but his presence sends a shiver through the room, innocent or harbinger of death. Against all logic, Sally, her heart softened by pity, insists on letting him in. The door opens, and with it, fate seals its verdict. Horror erupts in an instant. Karen, distracted by the pain of waiting, does not see the infected figure that lunges from the shadows. Sink into her arm, ripping a scream from her throat that pierces the air. Within seconds, her eyes cloud over, her face contorts into a mask of fury, and she pounces on Jacob with demonic strength. Don, the instincts of a cornered man kicking in, reacts. A crowbar becomes his weapon, and with a brutal blow, he ends Karen's life. Her body collapses, still rigid with the virus's rage. But there is no time to grieve. A collective, inhuman roar shakes the house. Dozens of infected burst in, their bodies deformed by the virus, their nails tearing into the wood, their mouths drooling blood. The door gives way like paper, and chaos engulfs the refuge. Jeff, tears in his eyes, clings to the shattered door, shouting for Sally and Jacob to flee. But an infected one reaches him, teeth sinking into his flesh, his sacrifice lost in a scream of agony. Sally, heartbroken, runs toward Jacob, but the infected surround her. Her bony hands claw at the air as they drag her to the ground. Her final cry, the lament of a mother who never was, drowns beneath the frenzy of monsters. Dawn, caught in a vortex of panic, tries to save Alice and the boy, but the infected are an unstoppable tide. Alice, her face drenched in tears, begs him not to abandon her, but the room fills with claws and teeth. Don, his soul torn apart, flees, leaving behind his wife's screams and the boys, their fates lost in a chorus of snapping bones and ripped flesh. Don's escape is a nightmare in motion. The infected chase him, their steps pounding like war drums. The river appears as a mirage of salvation. There, he finds Jacob, pale, trembling, but hope lasts but a second. Jacob, infected during the struggle, lunges at Dawn, his eyes void of humanity. In the fight, Jacob falls into the water, and the boat's propellers shred him into an explosion of blood and foam. Don, alone, his hands shaking, his heart hollow, manages to escape, but the price is a void that will haunt him forever. "28 weeks later, silence reigns over a ruined United Kingdom. The infected, starved to death, lie as hollow husks in the streets. The epidemic, according to NATO forces, is officially over. Under General Stone's command, U.S. troops organize the repatriation of British civilians, settling them in a secure zone in London, guarded by soldiers and barbed wire. But in the shadows of this new normality, the echo of screams lingers, and the survivors, like Dawn, carry wounds no amount of time can heal. Rage, though contained, never truly dies. In the dim glow of a London hemmed in by barbed wire and soldiers, the secure zone stands as a mirage of salvation, but the air is thick with a fear that clings to the skin. The repatriated, ghosts of who they once were, pass under the scrutiny of Dr. Scarlett Levy, a woman with sharp yet weary eyes, examining each newcomer with the rigor born of terror for the unknown. Among them, Andy, a boy with mismatched eyes, one blue, the other green, a genetic echo of his mother, Alice, piques her curiosity. Don, his father, a man broken by survival, embraces Andy and his sister Tammy, rescued from a school trip in Spain. The joy of reunion is a fleeting spark, overshadowed by Alice's absence. A lost Don secures with a lie that burns his tongue. But the children, driven by the longing to reclaim a fragment of their shattered lives, evade the military watch and venture into their old home. There, in a breath-stealing twist, they find Alice alive, but reduced to a ghost. Her eyes, reddened and glazed, wander aimlessly. Her body, frail and disoriented, seems trapped between life and death. Doyle, a sniper stationed on the rooftops, detects their escape and alerts the army. The children are captured, and Alice, dragged into a sterile laboratory, undergoes tests that reveal a terrifying truth: she is a healthy carrier of the rage virus. She does not exhibit the murderous fury, but her blood is a lethal poison, capable of unleashing chaos with a single touch. General Stone, a man of stone-faced decisions and relentless judgment, does not hesitate. He sentences her to death, ignoring Scarlett's pleas, who sees Alice as the key to a vaccine. Don, consumed by the guilt of abandoning his wife, lies to his children, assuring them that Alice was killed. But the truth gnaws at him, and in a night drenched in desperation, he sneaks past security to face his past. In a cold cell, he finds Alice, a broken reflection of the woman he loved. With tears in his eyes, he apologizes, whispers that he loves her, and, in an act of love and madness, kisses her. The kiss, a gesture of redemption, becomes his doom. The virus awakens in Dawn, turning him into a beast with bloodshot eyes. With a guttural roar, he tears Alice apart, his love reduced to a pool of blood, and launches himself at the soldiers, leaving death in his wake. General Stone, entrenched in a bunker, activates the red code. The safe zone turns into a death trap. Civilians, including Andy, Tammy, and Scarlett, are crammed into an underground parking lot, where panic spreads like wildfire. Don, now an unrecognizable monster, storms the place, his body trembling with rage. His presence is a spark in a powder keg. The infection spreads like a tide, turning the trapped into a horde of screams and claws. Andy, heart racing, escapes through the ventilation ducts, his hands trembling as the echo of cries chases him. Stone, desperate, orders the elimination of the infected, but the chaos makes it impossible to distinguish friend from foe. In an act of cold cruelty, he decides to exterminate everyone, infected or not. Soldiers fire indiscriminately, and the safe zone becomes a slaughterhouse. Andy, Tammy, and Scarlett, gathered in a battered store, cling to hope. Doyle, who abandoned his post after refusing to shoot Andy, joins them. He knows that Stone plans to obliterate the city with napalm, and their only way out is a helicopter that could save them. Their escape is a race against death. 2 survivors fall under sniper fire, and Scarlett, wounded in the leg, limps as blood soaks her clothes. Andy, with a bravery born of terror, distracts the shooter, allowing Doyle to eliminate him. The group escapes through a tunnel just as the napalm turns the city into a hellscape of flames and screams. But Dawn and other infected, driven by supernatural fury, survive, lurking in the metro tunnels like predators in the dark. At dawn, the survivors reach a park, exhausted. Doyle confesses to Scarlett why he deserted, seeing Andy in his crosshairs. He chose humanity over orders. Scarlett, voice-breaking, insists that Alice's children are the key to a vaccine, their blood a treasure in a world teetering on the edge. But their respite is brief. Sam, another survivor, attempts to reach Flynn's helicopter, but infected blood seals his fate, and he falls under the rotors in a burst of flesh and bone. The army, relentless, deploys asphyxiating gas, and Doyle, after jump-starting a car to save the others, dies burned alive by a flamethrower, a flash of heroism in the shadows. Scarlett, Andy, and Tammy push toward Wembley Stadium through the metro, but Dawn, a specter of rage, ambushes them. In one brutal movement, he kills Scarlett, her blood splattering against the walls. He bites Andy, but miraculously, the boy does not succumb to the fury. Like his mother, he is a healthy carrier, his body an enigma of immunity. Tammy, heartbroken, shoots her father, reducing him to a heap of lifeless flesh. The siblings, alone, find Flynn, who takes them to France in a helicopter soaring through a sky of gray ashes. 28 days later, a distress call crackles over the radio from Flynn's abandoned helicopter. In Paris, before the Eiffel Tower, a horde of infected emerges from the metro station, their screams resonating like an omen. The rage, far from fading, has crossed the sea, and the world trembles at its awakening.